So Jon Stewart said, and I must quote, "It's replacing us in the workforce, not in the future, but now." Let's discuss. Welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, content creator, and marketer wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one subject. And today, we're going to talk about that quote that I stated a couple of seconds ago, which is by Jon Stewart. Now, Jon Stewart, who does one of the big late night shows in America, he was doing a segment on AI, so digital and AI. It's actually very good. You just Google it and it'll be on YouTube somewhere. But there was a quote that he said, and he was talking about AI, and he said, "It's replacing us in the workforce, not in the future, but now." And what we want to do is we want to discuss some of these quotes that we hear online, and we just kind of give our thoughts and our feelings towards it, whether we believe it's true, whether we don't think it's true, or some bits we believe, some bits we don't. And we're going to start with Jon Stewart's quote because it's still fresh. And Chris, overall, what do you think? Do you think he's correct what he's saying? Do you think that it's more kind of emblemished? What do you reckon?
I think he's correct in what he's saying, but I think it's also a headline statement that a newspaper would make, because I don't actually think that right now lots of CEOs have replaced their staff with AI, because it's just not been enough time and they've not had enough education, and lawyers have stopped them. And, I'd say maybe at maximum like 5 to 10% of the workforce has been affected at all, in which case, it's not desperately replacing jobs right now. But as we discussed in a previous episode, when CEOs were interviewed, they were much more about not hiring future people than they were replacing their current staff, because they'd grown to this size and they can give their staff AI and make them more useful and valuable. So, why deplete the workforce that you've already maintained? If, I could see specific niche use cases, like if you owned a restaurant and that restaurant made just 4 types of coffee. Oh, no, say it's like a coffee bar or something like that, like a takeaway coffee bar, then that could be automated. There's no need for people. There's no need for other things in that case. But if you own just a regular B2B business and you had an account manager and a marketer and a salesperson and stuff like that, that's a lot more diversity in order to replace. It's not just a barista, So it really depends what business you've got and therefore where the human manpower. But yeah, I think it's quite sensationalist thing to saying we're being replaced right now on scale. It's just happening, slowly trickling in now,
I think the key word there is on scale.
Yeah.
Yes, some jobs are being replaced, but also, as we mentioned in a previous episode from that study, most companies are not necessarily looking to replace people right now. It's more, let's put a freeze on recruiting people because we want to see where this leads to. Kind of like when we was talking about Tyler Perry, where it's like, right, let's put a freeze on this studio right now because I want to see what Sora does, where it takes us.
That was a great example, actually, because it was $800 million that would have been directly injected to building a project studio. And he saw one demonstration of one AI technology and then scrapped the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's a really good example, where it's like cut and dry that this was the risk. He even had a quote where, like, I saw Sora and it blew my mind. He wasn't saying, I saw generative video and I rethought this. He goes, no, I saw this one
one particular one.
Yeah.
I think also the cost of it, because I remember also I can't remember where we were reading this, but the cost of implementing AI is huge. You might as well hire 5 people because the cost of getting it set up is a lot, and we're not even getting into data and privacy, etc. So I think when it comes to replacing people now, yes, but not as many people as people would think.
But I think, we're going to see a disproportionate jobs being displaced. Like, I heard a really interesting quote from somebody about, and I know nothing about this, but about warehousing and generally stacking boxes and stuff. They said that the average employee in a warehouse that's like a warehouse manager is maybe on like $30,000, 30,000 UK, something like this. Now, the implementation of a robot AI, like you said, is very costly, like $500,000 right now. But that will pay itself off in economy of scale on like 10 years.
Yeah.
And because they never have sick days and downtime and stuff like that, then it would essentially make a lot of sense for that specific job.
But don't you think the price of it will go down anyway? The cost of the putting the AI will just eventually go down.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Rather than getting someone in now, some people are probably just waiting for the cost to go down.
Exactly. So now it will be the top 5% of these warehouses that will buy in, and their advancements in how it works will make it cheaper for everyone. It's the same way with all technology. Who had the first mobile phones? Who had the first computers? Who had the first anything? It's always the top people, and then it gets mass produced and made cheaper and more available, and so that's the trend for sure.
Where I think it's going to have more of an impact is something that I actually thought LinkedIn would pivot into, and that's the gig economy. So if you don't know what the gig economy is, it's like the Uber driver. It's someone who goes to sites like Fiverr and is a website designer. So it's somewhere they can just do a small gig, like a small job, and get paid a certain amount. Now, Uber drivers, Deliveroo, or wherever you are, anywhere that kind of delivers takeaway. But also from this point of view, I'm talking more to do with the likes of Fiverr and Upwork and other outsourcing sites. I think that's going to be affected. And the reason why I say connect LinkedIn to this, because I actually think LinkedIn would actually have a big gig economy feature where people could hire people based on...
they had a freelance marketplace, but it never really took off much. Now, here's a really specific one for you. So I read this morning that someone had built an AI that was going to Fiverr and then solving coding problems and being paid.
Say that again. So someone...
We just mentioned how specific jobs like warehouse workers are maybe going to be faster replaced than other workers that have a more diverse role, right? So one of the things that AI models is very, very good at, like Copilot and others that we've discussed in the past, is writing code and picking out bugs. Now, one of the most highly listed things on Fiverr is, please, I need help with my website because I broke this code. And then they screenshot the thing. So someone has created an AI that looks like it's a freelancer answering code development things and is doing those gigs. So in terms of directly affecting the gig economy for freelance coders, they're in serious trouble because AI can literally do what they do in a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost, and even look like a human did it through a platform like Fiverr.
Yeah, that's very... Well, first off, it's very smart that person done it. Then I was thinking, I wonder if Fiverr could create AI robots and then solve that, but that kind of defeats the point of a marketplace.
No, it doesn't though, because think about all of the ways that marketplaces currently work. Amazon Basics through Amazon Marketplace is the number one selling thing. So what you do is you do the Tesco model. You host everyone else's good products. You see what's viable and valuable. Then you make a cheaper version of that. Then you get to keep all of the profits because you manufactured it and you sold it on your marketplace.
As long as people keep on coming back to you.
That's the next step. So the next step is for Fiverr to build an AI chatbot that acts as a Fiverr thing, solves Fiverr users' issues, and they get to keep all of the money. Yep.
Interesting one, that. Now, quickly going back, because we're slightly going away from Jon Stewart's thing, but it's still like interesting things that we're talking about here. But where happened, and we mentioned this in one of our news episodes a few months ago, and that is, I think it was Derby Council. They were investing about £300,000 into getting AIs to do certain jobs, and they were saying it's going to replace certain jobs. And I think actually, when you broke it down, there's only like 4 people's jobs that ended up being replaced, and I think they got moved to another department anyway. Just like with Apple, where you had the cars. Was it the cars that they were working on? And that whole department, it looks like they got like
Canned.
made redundant, but actually they just got moved to
Moved
the
over,
AI
yeah.
division, I think. So it's happening now, it is happening now. But in a nutshell, I think it goes down to what was mentioned before, and that is it happening now? Yes, but very, very small amount. But what you're going to see more, we believe, is job freezes
Mhm.
rather than people's jobs being replaced.
Yeah, hiring, not firing.